Alright, this is my review of Inglourious Basterds. It's the new film by Quentin Tarantino, in case you didn't know. and I'm a bit of a Tarantino fan. I like Tarantino's early work. I liked Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Dusk Till Dawn. I also like some of the things he's written. True Romance, Natural Born Killers. Yeah, they were all good. But I haven't been a fan of his later work. I didn't think much of Kill Bill 2 or Death Proof. I mean, I liked them, but they weren't up to scratch to his earlier work. Especially Death Proof, I thought it was really boring until the last 20 minutes. But like I said, the last 20 minutes were great, so they kind of saved it. But anyway, back onto Inglourious Basterds. What did I think of this film? I liked it. I thought it was quite good. It was very entertaining. It's not as tedious as, say, like Death Proof or Kill Bill 2, like I say, I thought it was entertaining. One thing about this film that should be pointed out straight away is it's in no way historically accurate. I mean, the history book went straight out the window when they wrote this. I mean, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but when you see it, you'll know nothing ever happened like that. But like I say, it's kind of like a World War II version of Reservoir Dogs, i.e. the Bastards. Sorry, got a bit of a cold there. It's also a bit like Reservoir Dogs in that it's not that violent. Because everybody says like Reservoir Dogs is really violent, but when you watch it, it isn't. There's only a few shooting scenes. Well, this is sort of the same, because when I read the synopsis of the plot, like in previews and that, I thought it was going to be like a bloodbath. They're going to be hacking off arms and legs and eyes, and there's actually very little violence in it. I mean, there is some graphic violence, but nothing the way it's being built up. I mean, basically, the only real violence in it is like gore violence. It's when they're basically scalping the corpses, and this cool bit where if they leave any survivors, they carve a swastika into the head, so they can never forget that they were Nazis. Righteous. Yeah, but it's not as violent as you would think. And also, another thing about this film is you don't really see the bastards that much in it. Probably why it's not so violent. Because you think you're going to be following Brad Pitt and like Eli Roth around, just killing Nazis. But no, it's mainly focused on this young lass Jewish lass whose family get killed at the beginning of the film, and then it skips to 4 years later where she's living incognito in Paris. To be honest, she's in it more than anybody else. But yes, it's a pretty good film. The dialogue's quite good. Obviously, going in, you're not going to get some. I'm talking about old bands and all that, because Tarantino normally fills his films with old music and TV references. He does do some parts where he talks about old films and old bands, but obviously, seeing as it's a bit out of Tarantino's style, it's not excessive. Another thing that should be mentioned is the soundtrack. Like I remember I said this film wasn't historically accurate. Well, neither is the soundtrack. There's guitars and there's electric guitars and there's funk and there's like music that didn't even exist in World War II. And it's like it's just, as I say, the soundtrack. It's actually, the film works better as a comedy, and especially the soundtrack, because there's just some times when the soundtrack's on, it's just ding diddle ling diddle ling diddle ling diddle ling diddle ling, and it's like obviously in World War II, and you're thinking, well, that's right. You think we'd have some like Saving Private Ryan band music, brass band music, but in all fairness, I quite like that actually. When I think about it, it's not like Saving Private Ryan, or where it takes itself dead serious. No, it really is like more like a comedy, really. You could probably watch it more as a comedy than an action film. It gets a bit weird because they keep changing the languages. Like in some parts of the film, they'll talk in German and French, and in other parts they're speaking English, but they're speaking to each other, so you don't know if they're meant to be talking English and French, or if they're actually talking English. Um, like I say, basically the plot is wafer thin. Like say the young lass Shoshala, as she's known, or is basically the main thread because her family gets killed by this SS Jew hunter, and at the beginning, and she finds out later in the film because she owns a cinema in Paris, and they're showing this film like, oh yeah, this film has like all the main Nazi players in it, like playing proper parts in the plot, you know, Goering, Goebbels, Hitler. Hitler's quite funny in this film. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the well, I'm sure everybody is the Hitler's reactions videos on YouTube. It's not him, but it looks just like him. He acts just like it. I actually went with my friend Mark, and he actually pointed that out to us. It's like, oh my god, is that the same guy off the Hitler reacts videos? Uh, anyway, that's it. Uh, so anyway, all these Nazis are going to this theatre in Paris to the premiere of this film in 1944, which I see as historically inaccurate because the Allies had captured Paris, sorry, in 1944. So obviously Hitler wouldn't fly into Paris for a movie premiere if it was being attacked by the Allies. But yes, like I say, if you want the ultimate historical inaccuracy, the ending of this film is about as historically inaccurate as it could possibly ever get. But like I say, I think it knows it's inaccurate. You know, it's not taken seriously. The film is a comedy. Anyway. So all these Nazis, the high command, is going to this theatre, her theatre in Paris, to show this film, and she decides she wants to burn down the theatre with them in it and kill them, you know, to avenge her family. At the same time, the covert bastards who are deep behind enemy lines, just at the time they're just killing Nazis, you know, they're just ambushing patrols and capturing them, scalping them, and not really doing anything tactical. They're just out killers. They get reassigned to assist another agent, a British agent and a German double agent, to also bomb the theatre. So they end up like intercepting, and obviously it all comes to a head where pretty much everybody gets killed. Now it does end in a sort of Reservoir Dogs bloodbath sort of a way, but I say it was a good film. I liked it better than Death Proof. I thought it was more entertaining during the middle. There's more action in it than Death Proof. If the people thought that Death Proof had a serious lack in action, then this is a definite improvement because there's definitely a lot more shooting. I mean, there's not a lot, not like constant bloodbath, but there's an acceptable amount of action in it. You know, it's a very funny film, and well, honestly, I enjoyed it. If you like Tarantino, like classic Tarantino, you probably like this. You know, if you like even these Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction era, which everybody does because that was his golden era, I'd check this film out. So I'm going to give it a good 8 out of 10. Right, thank you.